Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
Eddie Williams.
And tonight we're going to be doing another retrospective of one of the most iconic action franchises that really brought the action genre to boot and it really raised the bar of action films in the late 80s. And the franchise we're talking about is the Die Hard franchise. And basically, we're going to be starting with all the movies that took place in this, starting with the original Die Hard that came out in 1988. And this was basically the film. It stars Bruce Willis and was directed by John McTiernan.
And had
Alan Rickman.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace as the Hans Gruber. And basically, this is the movie that brought Bruce Willis into stardom because before this film, he was really known for like this show that he did called Moonstruck on TV. And he was really known for comedy. This is the film that really made it to where he was basically an action star.
Yeah.
And basically, if you know the story, this is a film that's basically did him as a cop from New York that goes to L.A.
to visit
his wife, who's been basically on a Christmas break,
and she's working at this
Nakatomi building in L.A. Yeah. And he ends up going there to go to this party that's taking place at the Nakatomi building, and basically while this is happening, you get Alan Rickman's character, who's basically part of this organization where they sneak their way in as a what were they again? I'm trying to remember. They were like some kind of like a moving place or whatever, or some kind of basically they were going in in the disguise of something else, and they were going inside the building, and basically they're terrorists trying to get inside this vault that's inside the Nakatomi building. Yep. And throughout the film, it's up to John McClane, who Bruce Willis plays in the film.
He basically sees them taking hostages, and he goes in the building and hides out throughout the film trying to figure out what he's going to do.
Yeah, he's basically on the 33rd or 34th floor, and he has to work his way down trying to get to his wife because he's basically he's in like an upper part of the building where there's like construction and all that taking place and all that. And basically the rest of the film deals with him trying to take the terrorists down.
Yeah.
Now, basically, there's really not much to discuss with this film because if you really know the plot, it's pretty much, everything.
It's your 90s.
It's your 80s.
Yeah,
late
80s. Late 80s. Late 80s and 90s all worked together on action films. Late 80s started what 90s did.
Yeah.
And, man, I'll tell you right now, we all know this was a phenomenal fucking...
It was fucking great, This is the movie that brought Bruce Willis into action star because... Everything from this character, because when this character was introduced, we hadn't seen this type of action hero before, because John McClane is a character that you can relate to. This is a guy who's an everyday man.
Yeah.
He's just an everyday guy. He's not like Arnold or anybody else.
Yeah, where he can kill 30,000 people in one shot.
This is a guy who actually goes through vulnerability. You see him fucking taking
slices through his
legs on glass, and he's jumping off of rooftops and shit.
He shows fear of like what he's got to do, like to get through other levels, like flying out the window. He's like, oh, fuck. Yeah, and like you can see the fear. And I'll tell you right now, Alan Rickman was an iconic fucking villain.
Yeah, he was.
I know he is great in other films, like, the Harry Potter as Snape. He is awesome as that. And I'm not going to ever take that away from him. But, man, he's known for Hans Gruber to me.
Yeah, Hans Gruber was like one of the best. Is the best villain in the series.
I actually think he's the like off of Day of Dead, we know that, what's his face? Rhodes is the 80s. Hans Gruber is the other one you could say from the 80s. One of the best villains from the 80s. Too. Known villains.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, this film, it raises the bar so much with action. You get a lot of great stuff. All the shit that John McClane goes through in this, not only is it very realistic, but it's also a lot of stuff that a cop would do if he's in this situation. And he's having to rescue hostages, he's having to take down guys left and right, and also giving us funny fucking one-liners that love.
And, great one-liners in this film. I mean, the fight scenes, the battle scenes were great. I even like his shit talking with Hans Gruber in this film. I also like his collab with Family Matters.
Reginald. I think it was Reginald Johnson.
Basically,
Carl from Family Matters. He plays the cop who's basically...
He's always playing the cop in movies.
It's like he's playing the same character in this because he's on his way...
It's like, all right, Steve and all them, I gotta go to work, and then he has to take care of the Nakatomi.
Yeah.
One night. They should do a collab with Family Matters where he goes, you don't know what the shit I've been through today. I had to save the Nakatomi.
Right.
Though, Family Matters is Chicago. So.
Right, true. But this one, basically, you get the chemistry with them. And while they're not on screen together, you still get the feel because they're having to communicate through CB radio and stuff. And the way that John McClane has to go through each time having to look... The way that John McClane has to go through all the steps on trying to get down Hans Gruber, the stakes get really high too, especially with the fucking the cops having to infiltrate, and you got that really dickhead dude from Breakfast Club trying to call the shots and shit.
Yeah, you got him, but you also got the dude from the Goonies. Mm-hmm. That's in it.
Yeah, he plays the Johnson, and the other guy Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, and they try to call his shots. The FBI trying to investigate and stuff. They realize their plan failed because
it's a 90s. It's an 80s, 90s fun. Late 80s, 90s fucking action fun. Yeah. I'm sorry, but when it came to the late 80s and then especially the fucking 90s, that was action's decade.
Oh, definitely, dude. Yeah, especially the one of my favorite parts is the part where he's getting the stuff sent down the elevator, and he's like, Geronimo, motherfucker, and he starts blowing that fucking... He starts blowing part of the building off, and the dude gets pissed off, saying, you just destroyed a building!
Yeah, and then, that part where he meets Hans Gruber, and Hans is trying to play, the victim.
Yeah, he's like, I tried to get away.
And he's telling him the story. He goes, He goes, I'm just fucking around. And then so-and-so, and he's like... And he goes, I get mixed up with this shit? Who knew?
yeah, and then I like this scene because they have a Dutch angle, kind of off of Mission Impossible, where the camera's all tilted. Basically, it's kind of playing a psychological level where you're actually seeing the villain and hero coming together.
Not only that, even though the song was way fucking iconic before the movie, this movie really keeps it as mainstream, and it actually became the theme of the franchise.
Ode to Joy. Yeah. Ode to Joy by Mozart.
Yeah, and man, and now here's a thing that's really interesting about this franchise.
It's all Christmas movie.
No, it's the debate if it's a Christmas movie or not, because that still holds today.
A lot of people say it's not a Christmas movie, and even Bruce Willis called out and said it wasn't, but I still fucking call it a Christmas movie because it's set on Christmas.
All right, this movie takes place on Christmas. We get a lot of very Christmas themes. Hint, the beginning of the film, that old Joy Nick from that one R&B group.
Yeah.
Forgot the name of them that did that. Old Saint Nick or whatever they call it. Yeah, I forgot the name of the song.
Yeah,
I can't remember of it. But anyways, it's by that group, and I also kind of even though he ain't much of a story,
I like the limo driver. He was great.
He's hearing them
Argyle.
Argyle. He's hearing them talk shit on the thing. He goes, fuck, you roasted his ass. Yeah. Dude, this is just a plain fun movie from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. What can I say? There's
also about it takes risks too, because unlike other action stars at the time that were like Arnold and Stallone and everything, Bruce Willis's character was one of those guys that was actually taking risks with his character because he actually showed vulnerability.
Yeah,
especially he was cut the fuck up. He was damaged. He was getting having to fall off buildings and shit. This is to me what you should do with action films. This really raised the bar when this movie came out.
Not taking away from Arnold. I always love Arnold's classics. But Arnold does do that shit where like Chuck Norris, where you can take thousands people.
Off of Commando.
Yeah, Commando. Even those are still fun. Commando's a fun fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's just, Die Hard was a different term where you can have that fun, but
still
also
take it kind of realistic.
Realistic, where he's getting fucking fucked up throughout the movie.
And so, and then it basically ends with the final confrontation where even the villain's like, oh, what was it you told me? Yipee Ki Yay, motherfucker.
Which became a tagline.
Yeah, which became the most iconic catchphrase.
Yeah, catchphrase, and he throws Hans Gruber, which was another iconic villain death, where he falls off the building.
And it ends with having it end with "Let It Snow" by Frank Sinatra.
Yep.
And so this movie, like, to me, this is in my top 10 of, like, best movies, like, best action films ever made. Like, this movie I can go back to so many times and watch it every fucking Christmas, and it never gets old.
However, I'm going to get to another thing in the feature about the franchise, which I might be talking about a film that might kind
of top it a little bit, but it still is.
But I'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But overall, this is still an iconic film, and I love it so much. And with that, I'm giving this a fucking phenomenal grade in Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal grade in Film Phreeks meter for me.
Little to no flaws.
Yep.
And so, now after this, with the success of Die Hard, it was, granted a sequel would follow. And yes, a little over 2 years, they actually did follow a sequel with the next one, which came out 2 years later, which was Die Hard 2, which from the posters and everything, it was actually called Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Die Harder.
But from the title itself, it's actually just called Die Hard 2, from what I remember.
Yeah, and in fact, I believe at one point they didn't even have Die Hard 2 at the thing. They just called it Die Harder.
No, that was the subtitle. They called it Die Hard 2, but not Die Harder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But basically, with this one, it deals about a couple years after the events of the first movie. And it is kind of similar in the first one with how, basically, it's the same kind of premise where you have John McClane who goes to the airport trying to meet with his wife and stuff. Well, his wife is somewhere else, and he's calling her. Well, she's on a plane trying to meet him. And while she's in the air in the airplane, he's calling her to let her know where she's at and everything. It's in Washington this time. Mm-hmm. And basically, he's working in L.A. instead of New York. And he's basically transferred there. And basically, there's some stuff that goes down to where these terrorists that are now played by William Sadler, if you remember from Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, he's the main villain of the film, where he ends up getting basically a plane to try to take over the airport and stuff like that. And he's basically causing chaos where all these planes are coming down and shit. Mm-hmm. And I gotta admit, and this time, instead of John McTiernan directing, we got Rennie Harlin directing this time, which Rennie Harlin had to finalize the director because he did direct Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Master. So it was a different take this time, but it's still similar because much like the first film, you have John McClane trying to take down the terrorists and stuff. In this one,
it takes place at this airport the whole movie.
Yeah, and he's also going through the same stuff he did in the first one, where he's actually in like the ventilation shafts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but so it's kind of like really the same movie as the first one.
It is, and not only that, even you can say that they replaced the dickhead cops for the dude from NYPD Blue.
Yeah,
where that dude, him and him go at it, which still is.
I actually like that dude, Dennis Farina, not Dennis Farina, Dennis something. I forgot his last name, but basically, if you remember him, he's also in Psycho 2. He was basically the dickhead in that one, where he's always trying to talk shit to McClane. He's like, "Hey, McClane, why don't you, fucking blah blah blah." I like the banter they do with each other.
Have a good banter,
And then McClane's like, one scene's like, "What do you think is this or the shit in your brains?"
Yeah. While this is all going on, William Sadler's got a group of guys that are pretty much sitting on the side of this one abandoned building.
And surprise, no, they actually had quite the cast in this. They actually had early appearances by John Leguizamo, Robert Patrick, and others like in this movie that had like really early appearances.
Yeah.
Before they were famous.
Yeah.
And they're trying to take over the airport and stuff. And I do like the way that the action scenes are set, because the way that it's set inside this airport, it shows a lot of the ways that McClane...
What is this, like a year later or two?
2 years.
2 years later. Yeah. And it's funny because it's on Christmas. However, saying earlier how people, other than music, it was in L.A. where it don't ever snow. This one actually shows snow.
Because it's in Washington,
Yeah, this one was actually a good twist on the land.
Yeah.
Where it's actually very snowy and
was it Washington or Washington D.C.? I can't remember.
D.C.,
yeah. So, there you go, yeah. And this one, it's not like as good as the first one, but I still got into a lot of the action set pieces because the whole way it's shot, like in the airport and stuff, I like that, McClane has to rely on a lot of, stuff to get to the terrorists and everything.
And you know what? It's got great one-liners that really is the same as the first one. It still does its own one-liners, which were funny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts is the part where he's in the plane and he has to eject himself and he's like, "Oh, shit!" Do you see him come out the screen? Yeah, that was a fun. That shit still has me rolling to this day.
My other favorite part is because there's also a subplot that Adler is trying to get this guy that's from this other country out of to basically he's on this plane and they're trying to get him free and everything.
Yeah.
If you remember, this is Franco Nero, who, if you remember, he played in the Django films back in the day, and he also played in Django Unchained. They're trying to get him out, basically to free him and stuff. Part where the dude opens the door and shit, he's like, freedom! And then John McClane's like, not yet! And then punches him.
I love, dude, they just get better in the one-liners. Every movie, too, I say that.
Yeah.
Well, until 5. But I'm just saying, even 3 even gets even better on the
that's what I'm saying.
So they do top each other for the first 3 films on the one-liners.
Yeah, and I'll admit, like, the way the film is going, because we also get introduced to this military unit by this one guy that comes in to try to stop William Sadler's group. I do like the way they set up this plot, and I'll admit that the way the film goes along, they actually have a cool twist where, in the end, basically, way through the film, we see that when it gets toward the end, this military unit that's trying to stop William Sadler's crew, they end up actually fucking turning on the guys that are actually part of it.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're working for William Sadler's group the whole time, which I thought that was a great fucking twist.
Yeah, that was a great twist. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And basically it has the final climax that involves where you have John McClane on that plane. And I'll admit, unlike Hans Gruber, where they had that, that scene where they were shooting each other in the first movie, this is the first time where we actually get to see John McClane actually test his physical strength, where he's actually doing hand-to-hand combat, where he's actually fighting William Sadler one-on-one, and plus he gets his fucking ass kicked.
Plus we get that nighttime ski thing going on in the snow there on that skis.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, this was a doable. It didn't get to number 1 level, but it's still doable. And a cool fun fact with me was I actually saw 3. I saw 1 the first time. The 1 is my first Die Hard film I ever watched. But believe it or not, I actually saw 3 before I saw 2.
I was the same way. I didn't even know 2 existed.
I didn't either.
3.
I thought 3 was 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, because I always thought Die Harder was considered a tagline as in an unrated version of Die Hard.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was young. I mean, no offense. I can't help it. I was young. But I actually thought Die Harder was a tagline for an unrated version of Die Hard.
Yeah,
so I thought it was the same movie until I was like, Airport. That has to be another movie. And sure enough, I discovered part 2.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And unfortunately, at the time, it was a weird thing because I done saw 1, which I loved. And I love 3, and I'll get to that in a second. And then I watched 2, and it just makes me feel kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah,
even though it's still a good film.
2 is still a good movie. Like, overall, like, I still enjoy 2, but I do feel like it did kind of have the same, like, plot as the first movie, because they were still doing kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, I love William Sadler as the villain, but I felt like they didn't really do much, like, things differently than they did the first movie.
Yeah, because even though he's a good villain and all that, he is a standard villain.
Yeah,
at the
same
time.
Though I do like his fight scene with John McClane.
He does have a good fight scene, but he is not Hans Gruber or the brother in part 3. Yeah. So it's like, it was like, and it was still good. So with that said, I'm going to give this a compelling grade in the Film Phreeks meter.
I agree with you. I have a compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter as well. It's definitely my second least favorite of the franchise, but it's still a great film. I still highly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now after this, they kind of took a hiatus from the franchise, and it wasn't until about probably 5 years later they decided to come back with Die Hard. Mm-hmm. And this time they decided to bring back John McTiernan decided to come back to do another Die Hard film. This time he comes back with directing Die Hard with a Vengeance, which came out in 1995. And this is the one that, believe it or not, this is the one I grew up with the most, because this is the one I fondly remember growing up as a kid watching. Yeah. Because even before the first movie, before I even seen the first film, this is actually the one that I got into that introduced me a little bit with Bruce Willis, even after I watched Fifth Element stuff.
Well, I'm a lot older than you, so 1 was mine, but yeah, this one right here, and I'm going to get into deeper on this one because I'll explain here in a minute, but we'll give you our general plot.
Basically, the plot in this time deals with John McClane. He's basically, he's had a...
This time he's lost his wife.
Yeah, he's lost his wife. He's separated. Yeah. And this time he's basically... he's a drunk. He's been dealing with a lot of alcoholism, and there's basically a plot that involves where someone is putting bombs inside these buildings and stuff and going off in New York. And unlike the first film where it took place in LA, this time we actually moved to New York, where John McClane's actually from. Yeah. Yes. So, and this time we deal with someone who's actually putting bombs inside the areas of these buildings and stuff. And basically, the caller that's trying to negotiate with John McClane, he's basically giving him he's playing him a cat and mouse game. Simon Says, playing a game of Simon Says with John McClane to go and find these bombs and stuff in order to disable and everything. And it's up to John McClane, and also Samuel L. Jackson, who gets introduced, who is basically an electrician that
happened to get involved
with the accident, which we'll get to in a minute. But basically, it deals with them two having to work together in order to stop the bombs from going off in New York.
Yeah. So basically, like he said, you have the Simon Says thing going on. Basically, there's a dark history I'm about to, here soon. I'll tell you about that. But it's a dark history, and this guy wants John McClane very bad, and he's making him play Simon Says. And we know, iconically, the first thing he's dared to do is walk in Harlem with the "I hate N-words."
Yeah, they do that.
And this is what brings Samuel Jackson in, because he sees the sign. He goes out and tries to talk to him and say, "Hey, motherfucker, you're gonna get your ass killed out here with that shit." And then Simon is watching, so he's like, he told Samuel Jackson, "Now you're part of the game."
Yeah. And then basically it deals with them having to work together, unfortunately,
solving all these things.
Yeah. Which from the get-go, I actually like that they changed it up with this, because unlike Die Hard 2, which they were kind of doing the same terrorist kind of plot, taking hostages.
Yeah.
This one they changed it up to where John McClane is actually having to look for bombs and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this one, because it's a big change, because not only you have a guy saying, you know what? Fuck the hostages and all that shit. I'm going to take you to a city that's probably it's got like 8 million people.
Yeah.
And it is probably, I think it goes, you're talking about 3 hours each direction. That's how big this city is. And I could be placing tests and bombs everywhere, and you don't know it. So it's he calls John McClane every hour. He's like, I got another test for you. Simon Says, and he gives him riddles. And he has to solve the riddles, like, oh yeah, the shit's in the Yankee Stadium, or yo shit, so and so, and it gives him and Samuel Jackson time, like they dialogue about, so and so, who's the 45th president, or like the 34th president, or whatever, shit like that. So, anyways, this was a good turn. This is what the franchise needed, right here. But yeah, so we now get into our things about this film. I will say this right now, Jeremy Irons, man, I think to me, he's on par with Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he is. Now, it is kind of weird because both of them are playing groupers, like in both films.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, for some reason, and this is where, okay, there's no disrespect to Alan Rickman, but I will say on the overall performances, they're like equal. Like, they're both on the same level.
I just feel like they add so much more to the story than one did. Not taken for one. All right, let me say this before I start talking about this. I'm a rarity here. As much as fucking one is such a classic, I actually have 3 as my favorite in the franchise.
I do too. Like, I feel like
Vengeance is my favorite in the franchise.
I love 3 so much because everything.
This one has not only that, as much as you said one has a rewatchability, I actually have 3 as a 10 times more of a rewatchability.
And what helps with the most is not only do you have a great villain like by Jeremy Irons, but also what really holds this movie together the most is I love the fucking chemistry
with him and Samuel Jackson.
They were so phenomenal.
This right here, Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson's chemistry in this film is by far easily my top fucking 5 favorite dual chemistries in an action film ever in history. I'm telling you right now, these two go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Or
the
like
dialogue, the shit, the one-liners, the Shane Blackie one-liners in his film.
Yeah.
Is so fucking crazy good.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. This was destined. It should have been done years prior.
That's what I'm saying.
Two
one of my favorite parts is the part where they're going down the street in the car and everything, and they're going down, and fucking Samuel Jackson's like, "Where the hell are you going, McClane?" He's like, "I know what I'm doing. Not even God knows what you're doing."
I like the part where he goes, "Hey, check the car for airbags." He goes, "All right, it's," and he stops and he goes. And he stares at McClane, and then next you know, you see McClane jump off a building with the car. He goes, McClane! And he does that like 6 times in this movie. Yeah. And there's this one part that also has me laughing. It was he tells him to meet him in this one street. McClane tells Samuel Jackson to meet him in this one street. And Samuel L. Jackson is gradually driving down this fucking road, and you see fucking McClane fly out of fucking sewer. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
and he goes, "You got a hell of a make an entrance." These dialogue works from beginning to end, dude.
Dude, I don't know what it was, but I know John McTiernan did the first Die Hard, but for some reason the third one he upped the comedy a lot of everything.
Dude, it flows so well in this fucking film. I also like that part where him and Samuel Jackson, at the same time scared of the villain, they also talk back to him. Like, he goes, "Yeah, you can take that well plane up your well ass."
Yeah.
I love how he just fucking talks shit to him.
Well, there's a part where Samuel Jackson first talks to Simon Gruber. He's like, "Well, what's your name, boy?" And he's like, "Don't call me boy."
He talks shit, and he hangs up, and he goes, "Don't let that happen again." Yeah, man, this movie is such a fucking riot, man. It is a blast from beginning to end.
But also, what I also enjoy too is I like how it plays out basically where Simon Gruber is trying to get revenge on McClane, and you also get some twists that I didn't fucking see coming.
Yeah, like that twist was a great twist.
Like that part where that girl actually betrays that dude and that fucking shoots him right there with that machine gun.
Well,
and shit.
Like the brutality in this film, like that part where
he's in the elevator,
that she starts slowly slit that dude's throat in like all different directions.
Yeah.
You hear him gargling his blood. But going back to a little bit of the comedy, there's something I also forgot to mention. I like that part where he's wearing the "I hate the N-words" on his hands. And then Samuel L. Jackson's talking to him. He said, "Hey," he goes, "you're in Harlem. You either crazy or you're fucking, off your walls and stuff." And you hear the black guys go, "What the fuck?" in the background. That shit was fucking funny. He goes, "Oh shit." He goes, "Oh, you see these boys? He hates them." And then he throws that fucking knife at him. And it's funny because this movie's playing out, and you're talking about John McClane is going through an even worse time because he's got a hangover.
Yeah, he is. He's still with alcoholism.
He's got a fucking hangover.
See, I actually buy that. And this is a rare occasion. I buy his vulnerability this probably than the first one. Yeah. Because the first one I get that, he's having to deal with damage with the glass and stuff like that. But with this one, he's dealing with alcoholism, having a hangover and shit. I can kind of relate to that. So I don't know why, but 3, I kind of relate more with McClane.
And not only that, if you notice a lot of the Simon Says games that he plays with him, they actually lose a lot of it.
They do, yeah. Where they're actually
constantly not getting there.
Because there's actually a part where they actually are almost blowing up a school, and it actually gets to that point. It's like, damn.
Well, not only that, there's a part where the subway thing, and you think they're going to save the day. They don't. The subway blows up. That's what I'm saying.
It actually blows up and blows that fucking train out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I love the game and cat and mouse game they're playing in this fucking thing. And then you start getting deep in the series. This is where the twist blew me the fuck away. Like, I did not predict this fucking shit to twist this way. We end up finding out that Simon is the younger brother of Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
And he wants blood from John McClane. Because in the film, they're like, they're studying, they're like, man, he really is out for you, John McClane. What the fuck do you do to this guy?
Yeah.
Did you piss him off on a simple arrest or what? And he's like, I don't fucking know. And then they did the study, and they're like, he is Hans Gruber's brother.
Yep.
You fucking... And then, I love that part where Samuel L. Jackson, so I'm in this motherfucker because you threw a white brother off a fucking building. Yeah. He goes, fuck.
Yep. And then we also get into some, actually, which is weird because in this one, this is probably the most brutal shit I've seen out of the
Where they actually...
They show like a part where he's in like in the elevator and stuff, and you see him like kind of noticing the guards are not... Because basically the whole plot is that Simon Gruber is trying to rob the
Federal Reserve. He you think it's a revenge plot. It is on John McClane for killing his brother.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's using that motive to rob a bank. So you have so many motives that work so perfectly.
It does. It looks
film.
great because he uses these guys to actually investigate and stuff, who actually go undercover as, like, these German guys are actually taking the disguise of guards and shit. Yeah. And then John McClane, when he gets in this elevator, he actually notices that the badges are kind of similar to like these.
Well, it's similar to the one he would talk to him all the time and notice. He's wearing his badge. So
it's like, okay, that's throwing me off. And he starts fucking having his shootout where he's in the fucking...
Did you guys see the
lottery numbers
last night? Yeah. He goes, I think I might have won. He goes, I think it's in my pockets right here. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. And it fucking goes brutal in that scene. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And you actually see, like, big cops getting whacked in this fucking movie.
That's what I'm saying.
And stuff.
And then basically it deals with him having to go after Simon after that, and then we get that funny scene where he's in the fucking mines and shit, and he goes into the where he's going up in the what was it, the manhole where it's like pushed up.
That's
in the
what
water.
I'm saying. That's when they pushed him on the water.
That's what I'm saying.
I said that earlier in the review. I was
that's where he actually went through it.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh shit!" And he goes, "You know how to make a fucking entrance, don't you, McClane?"
Yeah.
And then there's a part where they realize after the school, they have they're at the school, and that's when they you get this really intense scene where you have this dude trying to disarm this bomb, thinking it's real.
Yeah.
And you see the stress in the dude.
And then it turns out that it's actually just like
a fake.
Fake, basically.
And the real biggest bomb is actually on a ship.
Yeah. And they end up going there. And they get this another brutal scene where they go down this wire thing. And they end up going...
That's what I want to talk about, the wire scene. They're like, he goes, "Hey, you like heights?" And he goes, "Oh, fuck, McClane."
Yeah.
And then they realize they have to go down, slowly. Yeah. And attach the hook from the Brooklyn Bridge all the way down to the fucking ship. And you have to get there on time or else it will rip and they'll fall to their deaths and shit. Yeah. And you hear, and it kind of fucking, they start noticing it breaks. Or they notice, no, what it is the ship gets a little too far and it starts pulling the vehicles that it's tied to.
Yeah.
And then you have, them holding on, and next you know it falls off the bridge, and then they're swinging around and shit, and you have McClane holding on, and you see Samuel L. Jackson fall into the ground, and you see him. He goes, "McClane!"
Yeah.
And they swing around.
And then they start shooting these dudes off there. And they fucking get sliced in half. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. And you just see McClane hold on to dear life in the air. You see Samuel L. Jackson fall behind him. He's like, "McClane!" And he's like, "Motherfucker!" Oh, dude, this shit is just so... I want to tell you right now, I love one, no, don't get me wrong, but this film just is so fucking fun.
It is. It's so great.
I can't fucking stop watching this. I'll tell you right now, he said 1 is a rewatchability, and I agree. However, I think 3 is a way more watchability.
3 has the best one-liners for me.
Yeah, 3 overall is just so much of a fun film.
It is.
I actually, like I said earlier in this review, I actually have this one top in the first one by a little bit. But anyways, you have Hans Gruber. You got pretty much Hans Gruber's brother take it over, and I like that part where he shoots Samuel L. Jackson in the leg.
Yeah,
and and they pretty much get ready to blow this thing up, and pretty much you already know how it ends, where they kind of ruin their party, and
basically they get away. But first, before we get to that, they get a double cross by that girl who ends up killing the Hans Gruber's assistant that's with them and stuff, because they found out. Simon Gruber's assistant, the guy who works for him and stuff, his henchman. They find out that he was double crossed. Well, his henchman finds out that he was double crossed and stuff. Yep. And so we get that scene where that girl fucking shoots him because he realizes he's betrayed. And then basically after that, we deal with the final showdown.
We actually have a scene where the villain wins.
Yeah.
Where Simon actually wins.
He wins
it, and they get the money and everything they need.
Well, and then basically it leads to a final showdown where McClane ends up getting.
He calls his wife and accepts defeat, and he's like,
I fucked up.
And then he starts noticing on his pill bottle
where the location was. Yeah. And then he finds out where Simon's located.
Because Simon, what it is Simon, when they landed on the ship after Simon, they were screaming McClane. And they fell on the ship. They were captured on the ship,
and then they got
tied to a bomb.
Yeah, they were. And then he was covering a hangover, so Simon Gruber gave him those pills.
Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, man, can you do me one last
favor? I've got a serious fucking hangover."
And he goes, "Oh yeah, I got pills right here." And it was the pills to the location they were staying at and hiding at it.
Yeah.
So that's when McClane knew where to go, and basically they find Simon and ruin what Simon was about to get laid and fuck this shit up. And I love that Samuel L. Jackson's talking shit. He goes, "Oh, you ruined their sex."
Yeah. And then they start getting them shot down and stuff. And then basically it ends with a helicopter. They're in a helicopter and they're
trying to get away.
McClane trying to get away. And then McClane has it to where it's on a pole or something, and it pulls them down, and they fucking have
electric pole,
and it crashes their helicopter.
Yep.
And he's like, "Yipee Ki Yay, motherfucker." And then basically it ends where he's calling, and Samuel L. like, "Call your wife, man."
Yeah, call your wife, and you got that also another iconic song playing. And it's
fucking great. This movie to me, I know I'm gonna be in the rare of this, but this probably is my favorite of the Die Hard series.
It's not possibly. I love 1, and 1 is my second favorite, but this one is tops it.
It is. I love 1, but this one, for some reason, I have a lot of,
I think it's criminal to say that this one is far lower than 1, in my opinion.
Now, I agree. 2 is not as good as 1, but this one, man, this is, so even... I kind of have this a little above 1.
It's not even... I actually have 3 over 1.
Yeah.
But 1 is so close to 3.
Yeah.
It's just so... almost close, but 3 is better than 1. It's so far as we're talking 3, and then I got 1 and 2.
Yeah. So overall, with this movie, man, I give this a high phenomenal.
Yeah,
this is fucking great.
Yeah, it's a high phenomenal grade in Film Phreeks meter for me.
Fair enough. Now, after this came out, at this point, in 1995, they were pretty much done with the Die Hard series. They didn't want to. They thought it was pretty much done. Came full circle, especially with the first film and everything. And basically, it wasn't until 2007 because I didn't read the news, but I got a feeling that they wanted to do a Die Hard film for a while, but they probably didn't get around to it. It wasn't until 2007 that they finally got around to doing another sequel to Die Hard, where they wanted to basically do it 19 years after the first film, which was Live Free or Die Hard. Mm-hmm. And this time, instead of bringing John McTiernan back to do the third movie did, instead they got the director of Underworld to do this one. This one was directed by Len Wiseman, who I actually find as a really talented director. But at the time this movie was coming out, believe it or not, I didn't see, because when I was hearing that there was going to be a new Die Hard film coming out, I didn't really pay attention to it because what threw me off was that it was going to be PG-13. And I felt like with them doing a PG-13 Die Hard, I was like, that's kind of weird. Why the fuck are you doing a Die Hard that's PG-13?
I was kind of worried about it. It came out of nowhere, too, because I didn't see it until I abruptly ran into the trailers on TV, and it was doing the music theme.
Yeah, with the Ode to Joy. We've seen the remakes. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, they're doing another Die Hard?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
Instead of calling it Die Hard 4, they call it Live Free or Die Hard.
Yep.
And this, basically...
this one, it brings Justin Long and
Bruce
Timothy
Willis and Kevin Smith and Timothy
Kevin
Oliphant
Smith,
and Maggie.
Which, by the way,
Q.
Timmy Oliphant is the villain in this film.
Yeah.
Yep.
And believe it or not, this film I didn't watch when it first came out. I actually watched until a video.
I actually
watched it on TV.
I went
on cable on HBO.
I actually went on opening weekend.
Oh, you did?
Saw this in theaters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I didn't really pay attention to when it came out because I was kind of like, I'm not really looking forward to this.
Because of 3, I love so much. I was so anxious to see what they're going to do with this one. I went on in opening weekend theaters and saw this. And this one basically takes us years later and
go.
So this one actually takes us how many years later?
19 years. Well, it's 19 years after the first movie. It's about 12 years after the last movie.
After Vengeance. And this is basically John McClane is now been pretty much demoted to just a regular officer because they still actually talk about his drinking problems that still exist to this day.
They did? I can't remember that.
They do. They just say he's just a standard officer. They respect and gave him like a Medal of Honor at the time because of all the shit he's done in the previous 3 films, but he's basically just a everyday guy, back to everyday officer. And this one, actually, unlike 1, they bring it up in 1. They don't really talk about it much, but just little snippets here in 1. We actually get his kids playing the role in this. Well, his daughter.
His daughter, yeah. Because in this one, Lucy, who's his daughter, she's a teenager. She's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And basically, she's dealing with her life where she's got a,
And this one officially says the wife and
him are divorced.
Divorced. They fully divorced.
Basically, McClane is still a detective at this point, and working on the force.
He's just doing street work. Yeah.
And this time, it's still back in New York, like the 3rd movie. And basically,
now cyber terrorism.
There's a cyber terrorism that happens where Justin Long's character is basically part of this. It's something to do with this. What was it, a chip or something like that?
Well, he's part of this like weird cyber terrorism thing that he got because he's a hacker, and he gets mixed up in this little mix. And there's
Maggie Q is the main girl that's like talking to him and stuff.
Yeah, saying so and so, and they're doing cyber attacks, and they're planning on a massive cyber attack on the United States. And while this is going on, because Justin Long breached something, the government or kind of like local law enforcement catches on. They tell McClane to go pick him up, arrest him, and basically, John McClane goes and meets Justin Long's character, and at the same time, because of shit Justin Long... No, what it was is Justin Long, I think, was hacking the fucking cyber terrorists.
Yeah.
So they send a group of soldiers out to go kill them.
Yeah.
And when they do, while this is McClane knocks on the door to get ready to arrest Justin
before
Long.
that, we actually seen that the other people that were involved with the hacking industry, people that were doing the also hacking, they got blown up. So there were actually, when they were doing the hacking and stuff, those other people that were involved, they got killed by the explosions.
Oh, that's what it is. What it is this hacking terrorist group is trying to take over. And you got hackers trying to fucking stop their operations or fuck with their shit. And they're going around killing hackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're killing. Like, they write down every hacker that could possibly fuck up their plan before they destroy the United States.
Yeah.
With hacking, with cyber terrorism, they know that hackers could possibly stop them. So they go and they start killing the best hackers in the United States. And Justin Long is the last one survived out of the whole big old hacking group. And ironically, while that's going on, that they're about to kill him, and John McClane now finds himself, sees Justin Long get shot at, and basically
he has to save him
and try to figure out what the fuck is going on. Yeah.
And while this happened, he has to try to protect him and go along to find out what's happening.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Timothy Oliphant's character, who's basically the main hacker involved with this.
He's the terrorist.
And I'll admit, like, out of the villains, out of the series, I mean, I'm not gonna. Before we get to 5, because that's the worst villain. I'm gonna say out of the 4 films, this is probably my least favorite villain.
Okay, in the series. I actually gonna be a little different here, and it's doable. Me and Justin need to kind of disagree a little bit on some things. I actually kind of liked him a little bit better than William Sadler's.
Oh no, like
William Sadler,
for some reason, William Sadler to me matched McClane's physical
if
level.
anything, I think that William Sadler is on par with Timothy Olyphant, because Timothy Olyphant's got so many good one-liners.
Yeah, but still, I felt like he was just a very generic villain.
Physically, yeah, William Sadler's got the physically to fist fight. Because but I like that they took a different route where Timothy Olyphant's character is actually don't need to be strong.
Well, yeah, I get that.
He is so goddamn smart.
It's just that his character himself, I didn't find intimidating. I didn't find him.
I did because I thought his character could fucking really do some damage with cyberbullying.
I just
because you gotta think he's sucking out United States' money in his account.
Well, true, yeah.
He is just so goddamn.
The idea on paper could work. It's just that I felt like his performance, I didn't think worked too well as far as that character.
Agree to disagree. I think that I think William Sadler, even though I love the actor William Sadler, is awesome villain. Even in 2, he was a great villain. I just thought 2 is still my least liked and my least care about.
I hear you.
I'm not getting to 5. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
but,
that we'll get to. Yes,
but I just thought, William Sadler overall, the Die Hard 2 it was just like there kind of because it's the only one in the trilogy that actually tries a carbon copy in the first movie. But that's why, not counting 5, I'll get to 5 in a little while.
Oh yeah, we have a lot to talk about with that one.
But 2 out of 1 through 4, 2 is my least liked. And 4, it goes, so far here I'm at Part 3, Part 1, Part 4, Live Free. Yes, I do have Live Free over Die Hard, too.
I gotta have 2 over 4, man.
Yeah, not me. I'm sorry. Not me. Sorry, not me. 4 over 2. And basically, like you said, we're pretty much, this is cyberbullying, and the cyberbullying guys pretty much trying to destroy the United States using cyberbullying. They do scenes where they use like technology to terrorize Americans and thinking the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And basically they use like the part where they did that actually kind of freaked me the fuck out.
I will admit, I do like the scene
where he did the
presidents and stuff. Yeah. I do like that.
That fucking guy.
There are moments. Chills. Yes, there are moments where I do like Timothy Olyphant as the villain, where he's the way he's able to do this technology. Like, I will give you that, yes.
Yes.
So, basically, going through the plot, McClane has to go with Justin Long in order to take them down. While this is going on, we also get introduced to this other girl that works for Timothy Olyphant, Maggie Q.
Yeah.
The main girl that was talking to him at the beginning.
Yeah.
And basically, while there's actually a point where, her and the other guys, they're actually controlled like the traffic and shit. So they're actually able to be
that's what I'm saying.
Controlling technology.
The cyber technology in this film works well when this movie came out because about 2007 is when we really were hitting off with technology. I will give you that, yes. It works for the decade.
It does, yes.
It works perfectly.
I agree
it's a different turn for the franchise, which I think works perfectly.
I do agree with you with that. Well, I'll get to what I'll get to in later is how I feel about after watching the film.
Yeah.
Because I do want to bring up how I felt the first time.
And not only that, I also got to say that nowhere is it close at all to Samuel Jackson and McClane's duel, chemistry. That is the best of all the franchise. However, no offense, 1 and 2 never had a collab. It was just McClane by himself in both.
2, not to go back.
Well, actually,
1, 2, not to go backwards, but 2 also had the thing where he was,
collab
the janitor guy.
Yeah, the janitor. Okay, so they all do because you had the first one. All right, it's like this. The first movie is with Family Matters guy, which I absolutely loved. Yeah. I thought they were great. I loved how they talked about family and everything.
Yeah.
2, the janitor guy worked really good. 3, you have Samuel Jackson. This is the first time where the collab joins the actual shit. And in 4, Justin Long, I thought was a pretty good, nowhere near the other one. Samuel Jackson.
But still,
Justin Long worked.
Yes, I will agree. The first, now here's where I get to something I want to say. The first time I watched the film, I didn't fucking like it. I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I thought this was probably the weakest out of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've come to forgive it. I've come to forgive, okay, you know what? I buy Justin Long and Bruce Willis together. I actually like the chemistry.
like seeing...
it kind of has a similar son, kind of father figure dynamic.
That's what I like about it.
I can kind of
see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. With this one, I see John McClane seeing a son he didn't have.
Yeah.
It explains that his son lived with his mom and moved on. And basically didn't care for his dad because his dad was never around.
Yeah.
So, I loved how it was like a father figure thing. I actually kind of liked, even though Samuel L. Jackson's not a tough guy in the third one, he is kind of still a tough guy. I actually kind of like seeing more of the pussyfied kid with a vet.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. Well, I think for me, we'll before we get to that, basically the rest of the story deals. I like
they're tracking down the hacker. Which is
I will say they do have some great action sequence in this, especially the part where he's in that tunnel and he's going through having to dodge the fucking cars back and forth. Mm-hmm. The movie does give you what you want out of it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a scene from Die Hard, or not Die Hard. It kind of reminds me of Dark Knight. Where they start shooting the lights off. I'm saying, big ass tunnel. Yeah, and it's black. And not only that, the film does very well showing the chaos.
It does. Yes, America. I will admit, Lynn Wiseman, he knows how to fucking craft the action scenes. He really does great with those. Because when you see John McClane having this might seem unrealistic, but I can kind of buy that John McClane would have a car shoot through a helicopter. Yeah. I can buy that John McClane would do that. Mm-hmm. Now, it isn't until really the last act where I kind of find it kind of questionable.
Okay. Well, I'll get to that in a second.
But before we get to that, I do like that action scene where it throws it through the helicopter, and he's like, what the fuck?
I mean, I can kind of question that right there. But anyways, they have to go and they try to... They notice John McClane goes, okay, maybe we need to get on their level to defeat this guy, and that's to find other hackers. We bring Kevin Smith in the story.
And this is funny because Kevin Smith actually wrote his own character in this film.
Yeah, he plays the Batman.
Or whatever basically the hacker that's into all the geeky... He's the geeky guy. Yeah. Basically, he goes in there and he meets him and stuff, and he's like, and this is funny because
Justin Long's friends with him.
He's friends with him. Yeah. But it's funny because Bruce Willis says, he's like, oh, you see Boba Fett? He's like, and then Kevin Smith's like, you a fan of the Fett? He's like, yeah, I was always a Star Wars fan. But I love Kevin Smith in this role because he's the guy that can give him.
Yeah, I really like Kevin Smith playing this movie, and I wish he would have had more screen time.
That's what I'm
saying.
Maybe
he could have joined forces with them and say.
He kind of helps a little bit in the last act.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of cool because you have Kevin Smith playing the smarts of this thing. Justin Long is the smarts, but he don't have time to be on the computer because he's literally have to get in the physical end with John McClane because now they're out and about fighting.
Yeah.
And stuff, and you have, Justin Long getting scared, like, motherfucker, this ain't Call of Duty.
That's what I'm saying.
This ain't, stuff like that. But, they're basically tracking these guys down, and they find out, where they're at, and, fight the villain and all that stuff, and it's Timothy Olyphant throughout the film, which I thought was a pretty fucking solid villain.
Yeah, I'll agree. Over the years, I will admit that after seeing the film recently, Timothy Olyphant isn't a bad villain. I just feel like on a personal level, I feel like he's my lead. He's my second. Keep my second least villain of the series. Yeah. Not counting the fucking fifth dude in the fifth movie. I'm just saying. Out of the original, the other four movies, I'm just saying he's my least favorite of the other three movies.
I don't know, man. I something about 4 just really...
Well,
I find that to be more watchability over 2.
For some reason...
However, let me get to my cons of this film. Like I said, the pros, Justin Long worked pretty well than I thought he would.
Yeah.
When I saw the trailers of him being... After watching the third movie, when I heard Justin Long was going to be the co-lead guy running around with McClane, I was like, oh, you fucking kidding me? I'm like, no. But then again, I said the same thing when Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker.
Well, true, yeah.
And I was kind of wrong. I was like, all right, Justin Long's doable in this fucking movie.
I've come to groan over Justin Long. I buy him
the social commentary of the whole cyberbullying thing works.
It does.
Fucking when this time comes, like it works perfectly with the time.
It does.
This is when technology took off the most.
I will agree, yes. Now, I will say...
on my cons, I will say, for what it's worth, there was some this is the first time McClane does irrealistic shit.
Yeah.
And there was some CGI scenes that really bothered me.
Like the
part where McClane jumps on the jet.
Yeah, that jet part
right here.
No.
Yeah, this, when he first jumps on that jet... Then this is when it's going Superman style. I'm like, okay, as much as I'm liking this movie, I have an issue with that.
Yeah, I did too, man. Like, Now, here's the thing with me. Like, before we get into that, the film basically has the final climax where you deal with him going after Timmy Elephant after the whole jet fighter thing, which, like you said, was unrealistic. But I was able to forgive that. Okay, sure, fine. But basically, we get to the final climax where he has the final showdown with Timothy Oliphant and all that. We get to the point where he's basically, he's being held, basically, Timothy Oliphant is holding him and all that, like, almost trying to shoot him. And then he has the Yipee Ki Yay motherfucker part, which, if you watch the theatrical version, it was censored, but if you watch the unrated version, they actually say, motherfucker. Yeah. And basically, he shoots him, and then he ends up...
I like the way that McClane had to shoot him, though, through his own fucking chest.
Yeah, I like the vulnerability of that. Yeah, that brought back the vulnerability.
And you think that McClane died there. I was like, oh, shit, no! And then you notice that he's, like, pretty much on his, like, kind of, like, oxygen, like, almost dying and stuff. Yeah. I also like kind of the duel where... Justin Long's trying to fuck his daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey.
He
goes, what are you looking at?
That's coming from someone who actually has hair.
Yeah, I do like some.
I'll admit,
Justin Long does have some good one-liners.
Well, I
will tell you right now, he ain't Samuel Jackson
by far. But
yeah,
basically it ends where John McClane ends up defeating the bad guys, and he gets his daughter back and all that, and basically.
Oh yeah, by the way, we forgot to mention that Timmy Oliphant found his daughter because he found out McClane is the one hunting him down and took his daughter.
Yeah, and then basically he ends up taking her hostage and all that, and like the first film, which is, I will admit that I actually do like that because that is calling back to the first film, so the film does kind of pay respects to the first movie with that regard.
That's what I'm saying. This is a film that I can understand if somebody don't like it, but I still think, in a way, it's kind of underappreciated. A little bit more.
Overall, like, I will say, because this is pretty much where I get to my pros and cons, I'll admit, the first time I watched the film, I didn't fucking like it. I said, I liked the first three movies. I liked them a lot because of how they were with the action genre and everything. The fourth movie, I felt stuck out like, what the fuck are they doing with this movie? This is a disgrace to the fucking Die Hard franchise. Yeah, after watching the unrated version, I was like...
I knew it was working with the social commentary of what we were
After watching the unrated version, I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? After watching the unrated version, I was like, this is actually... I retract my statement. It's not a great movie, but as an action film and as a film that, as a Die Hard film, it's not bad. It actually is good. Now, after thinking about it, because over the years, I will admit, it's a film that's grown on me. I actually have grown to appreciate it more than I thought I would. Yeah. So it's actually a film that when it first came out, I didn't like, but it's grown to where I actually liked it a lot better.
And it grows on you, but to me, I'm sorry, but with the whole strong rewatchability, which plays a big role in me, and because it describes overall what I think of a film. 3 is my favorite.
Oh, it is too, but I'm just saying.
1 is right under it, but here's where I differ from you. I actually have 4 over 2.
See, I still...
slight version. However, there's some things in 2 that does better than 4.
Well, true, yeah.
Like the whole shit. Like they missed that whole where he does scream shit.
The vulnerability I preferred more in 2 than I did with 4.
All right,
4 still.
All right, vulnerability, I'll give you that. However, 2 is so carbon copied from 1.
Well, yeah,
that's what really takes me out of 2.
I'll agree with you on that.
4 was able to work with commentary of the.
I don't hate 4.
I went and saw it on opening weekend. I walked out. I was like, you know what? I wanted to hate this movie. I'm actually kind of impressed.
Yeah, but overall, man, I'll admit that even though it's not great, but I still actually over the years I've come to enjoy Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah,
I want to say it's probably about a maybe a compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, I actually, like I said, I gave 2 a compelling grade. I actually had this a high compelling grade.
Fair enough. Yep. After this, they basically decided that after a while, I actually didn't really think they were going to make any more Die Hards because it seemed like with Live Free or Die Hard, they ended up, seeing that was, the end of the series.
Yeah.
And hell, I didn't even think they were going to make another one until, years later. Because in 2012, in 2010, actually, we got the Expendables, which brought Bruce Willis back into, the action genre and everything, and he, was working with Stallone and all them. So when Expendables 2 came out, we got that trailer for an upcoming the next Die Hard film that they were making.
And the funny thing is other than the other 4, this is the first Die Hard film just came blatantly out of nowhere. No one saw it coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, surprise, motherfucker.
Well, from what I understood was that there's also the original idea was that they wanted to actually have John McClane and Jack Bauer from 24 team up together overseas. That was their original plan.
Oh.
But that would have been a cool idea, but they scrapped that because they felt like it wouldn't have fell through or it would have been too convoluted.
Too much. Yeah.
But so they scrapped that idea. But that actually I would actually be on board with.
Mm-hmm.
So instead they went with they still kept the same plot where he still goes overseas, but instead of John or Jack Bauer, it's his son.
It's his son. Now here we are with the 5th Good Day to Die Hard,
which AKA the worst and pretty much the final nail in the coffin of the series for now.
Fucking horrible.
Yeah. So, before this movie came out, I want to get into a little history, because when I first saw the trailers for this, I'll admit, I was actually pretty on fucking hype for it. I was looking at the trailer like, okay, you got John McClane going overseas, and he's basically fighting some Russians.
Which we needed a change.
We needed a change up for once. Okay,
I wanted to see an overseas, and I have a fascination with Russia being a good setting.
Yeah.
I love Russian setting.
Yeah, and this one, and from the trailers, it seems like, okay, you're going to get us it's got the classic theme, the music playing, you got him pretty much teaming up with his son and everything, and it's going to seem like, and they're going to make it R-rated and everything, unlike the 4th movie. I'm like, okay, but here's the problem, though. I kind of knew that going into this was probably a bad idea, because, remember, Alien vs. Requiem did that shit where they thought changing the rating would probably help the movie.
Yeah.
And no, that did not fucking help.
Yeah.
So with this, the trailers at least got me. They actually got me.
The trailers, believe it or not, it grabbed me. It was doable. I was like, hey, I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when this movie came out, and what's the weird thing was that it came out on Valentine's Day in 2013.
Well, see, now you know it was an early of the year release action film. We should have gotten the red light right there.
Yeah.
Warning.
And basically, after when I first saw this, and even to this day, because I've only seen it 2 times, this version and another cut, I was so fucking pissed off when I saw this movie.
Yeah. I'll get into that in a second, but pretty much the plot is his
basically
son.
This plot deals with John McClane's son, who's called Jack McClane. He's played by Jai Courtney. He's a CIA agent that's working overseas in Russia. And he's basically having to do this, going undercover and things like that, trying to investigate this Russian plot going on. And basically some stuff goes down to where he's in this club, and he ends up getting himself caught, and then he ends up going to prison and stuff. Then we pretty much get into the plot that deals with John McClane, who is working back home, and he finds out that his son goes overseas, and it basically...
But he finds out his son was arrested.
And basically, it's up to him to go overseas to help save him and also uncover a plot involving Chernobyl and all this other bullshit convoluted stuff that I can't really fucking describe because out of the Die Hard films, this has the most messiest plot that I can't even fucking like describe to this day.
To this day, I can't remember a lot of it because it was so goddamn fucking bad. And no, I won't go rewatch it. I went and saw this fucking movie in opening night, and I'll tell you right now. Get into like my pros and cons. Actually, we get in our cons because the pros are so small. I don't really have a pro other than cool. You brought John McClane back. I like the Russian setting. That's it.
Well,
that's
and I also will say like they got Jai Courtney, a guy who kind of looks like Bruce Willis, and the casting seems like it could work, but that's really as far as I go.
But Jai Courtney, I mean. I don't know what it is, but he fucked this up and Genesis up.
And Terminator Genesis,
he's just better off being a or
supporting guy like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, or somewhere in the lines, and maybe you can have him in something that's something more of original. I've seen these were two big franchises, and he weren't good at.
Yeah, he's more of a supporting guy for me because I've seen him in stuff like Jack Reacher.
Yeah, he's
Suicide
a good supporting.
Squad that he works well with.
Yeah,
but this one, no, this was not his level.
But I went and saw this on opening night in theaters, and I remember the way they fucking. This is my first con. The way this movie is shot and it's grain, and I don't know who shot this and thought this was a smart idea. But god damn, I actually thought the goddamn fucking something was wrong with the projector. Having to look back, I'm like, what's going on
here? It was like, is there fucking grain on here?
The grain reminded me of trying to watch
Grindhouse.
No, worse than that. It was like that, trying to be like that, which doesn't work in this universe. But what made me think of is when I'm trying to watch nudity on Showtime back in when I was like 12 years old. And you get that white grain, and it's just flickering back and forth. You're like, huh? That's what this was doing in theaters. And
my god!
And then I find out it was actually shot like that because the grain. They made it like. I don't know what they were trying to fucking doing.
And it's very noticeable, not to go over place, but this is very noticeable in a scene where you see John McClane like running in this building and stuff.
Yeah.
Where that helicopter's going after him. It's very noticeable how the grain just like pops in,
Yes. And then now to another plot, and this fucking shit made me punch the fucking front seat of my theater. Who in the dumbass thought it was a smart idea to make John McClane the guy who asked, what do we do next?
Yeah, John McClane in this is not fucking John McClane. Now, keep in mind, basically John McClane, he has some hints of like, he'll probably once or twice in the film, he'll say an occasional one-liner. But for the most part, he's either standing there in the fucking background and doesn't really have much dialogue. And then he's letting his son do all the work for him.
Yeah.
Like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and this is around the time I think Bruce Willis was throwing a little bitch fit. When they said that he was being kind of an ass.
He was getting that his ego really got out of control. And there was also some stuff going on here behind the scenes where basically him and the director were going over some stuff and him were not getting into it. So basically Bruce Willis was calling the shots.
Yeah.
And stuff. And you can tell because his John McClane is not the same John McClane.
It's like, not. It sticks out.
It sticks out. And Bruce Willis in this is fucking so lazy and bored that I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
Yeah, whenever he finds out his son was captured in the beginning of the film, he already was like, yeah, my son was captured. I'm like, the fuck is... what's this shit?
And what doesn't make sense because the plot deals with him going overseas, but every scene, it has a lot of him just saying, oh, I'm on fucking vacation, and all like that. And I'm like, he's
basically trying to do a different... You remember in the third one, he's always bitching about... Man, I got a bad fucking hangover.
Yeah.
They're trying to have a line like that, but they overly did it.
They did, yeah.
To the point of it got on your fucking nerves. You had a headache.
Yeah, and I did. Oh, speaking of headaches.
I had a massive headache.
This fucking movie, this has some of the worst action in the entire franchise.
Oh, I know, the action scenes.
The action scenes are all fucking shaky, like watching Mile 22, but 10 times as worse. Like, it's giving you a fucking nausea.
I mean, and not to be offensive here, I was like, who the fuck you got behind there? Michael J. Fox?
Yeah, it's like the movie. Now,
I'm like, who the fuck is shaking back there?
That's what I'm saying.
Attention.
And not just that, like literally a lot of the action seems generic too, because you're just having Bruce Willis and his son like shooting bad guys and stuff back and forth, and even that's fucking. You can see a lot of the CGI blood that they put in this.
Dude, fucking CGI. Dude, say what you guys want about the fucking first movie. not the first movie, the fourth movie.
Where he's on the jet.
Yeah, jet and stuff. But the CGI in that still holds up compared to this. The shit that they were using, the CGI shit, was fucking horrible in this movie. Not to mention, people bitch about 4. All the unrealistic shit McClane's doing now. This one's worse.
This one's worse.
He fell off a fucking skyscraper and live.
Yeah, he's going off fucking buildings, and there's also a part where he literally him and his son land a fucking water and shit, and this is in Chernobyl. You really think they're gonna fucking survive that? Because this plot deals with like some kind of virus in Chernobyl they're trying to unleash.
Well, it was also nukes. Had something.
Yeah, some new nuclear. Trying to stop nukes and stuff, and this shit wouldn't. I mean, it could work in a Die Hard movie, but the plot is so fucking messy. It doesn't even know what it wants to be.
And not only that, all the Die Hards you can arguably say that every Die Hard film has a very notable villain.
And this one doesn't.
This one, you don't even know who the villain is because the guy looks like he just left One Life to Live, the soap opera, to play in this. And he's in it for like here and there. I'm like, God damn, this dude's terrible.
Because it basically has like this. Like, after John McClane gets his son out, they're having to, rescue this guy, this kind of bearded dude. He's basically like the guy kind of looks like off of the second movie. He looks like Franco Nero. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to get him, because while this is going on, you have this other guy who's after him, who always chews like a fucking carrot or whatever. Yeah. You're thinking he's the main villain. And then there's also something to do with this girl that's also in part of this, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the movie just goes along. You're led to believe that's the main villain. But 2 or 3 quarters into the movie, that fucking stops that plot, and they do this weird fucking twist where the dude ends up getting killed by that bearded dude, and then the girl comes across with him. I guess it's supposed to be his daughter or something.
Yeah.
And they team up, and I'm like, that was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, 1, you had Alan Rickman, then 2, you had William Sadler, and 3, you had fucking Simon, that dude that played Jeremy Irons. 4, Timothy Oliphant. Oliphant was great in the 4th one. This was a fucking I'm not just saying step down. I'm talking about falling off a fucking plane to the ground step down when it comes to on your villains, because all of them are notable in their own way. This one is like straight to video. It's like, what the fuck?
And they play it off like that's supposed to be a big fucking twist with the dude, being the main guy.
Not only that,
it didn't make any sense. Like, what the fuck was his purpose? Not to mention,
you remember that one dark hair guy that was, you were thinking villain too?
Yeah.
The one that was acting.
That was him. That was the dude with the carrot.
I know. But do you think that he was also trying to act, his acting was like he was too full of himself?
Yeah, it seemed like that.
Like he was the bad, like he was something, and it was like, this movie's already fucking trash, dude. Stop trying to be good.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you're
and
awesome,
not just that, but also to get into the rest of it, we have it where they're, here's another big fucking bitch I have. This movie, because of its plot is so messy, this movie only runs about an hour and a half compared to the other Die Hards. Yeah. The other Die Hards were a little over 2 hours. This is the shortest one out of the fucking franchise.
It's basically saying, here, let's just get this fucking trash out. We know we fucked up.
Oh, and to go into more, John McClane and his son in this, Bruce Willis and Jack Courtney, they have zero fucking chemistry. Because a lot of it, if it was the John McClane in the other films, he would be witty, he would be charismatic as hell, and first of all, his son wouldn't be a CIA agent. Because if his son was a CIA agent, he wouldn't be having his dad come to help him.
Yeah.
Because they make it play off like he's more of a badass than John McClane.
You took the face of your franchise, and you got his son who could probably kick his fucking ass. You convincing me of that? Fuck no.
No.
So, I'm sorry. This movie's just ungodly and fucking watchable, man.
Yeah, it is.
It is so fucking dog shit trash. I find it hard to even remotely want to even put it part of my collection, because really I don't.
No, this is the one movie that I can honestly say I don't own out of the series, because I feel like if I was to ever own it, it would only be if someone either gave it for free, or if I had it on a very cheap price. I would only have it just as a collector's purposes.
It should be a film that's forgotten.
It is.
Why are movies like, example, Running Scared and Last Action Hero forgotten, and movies like this is still talked about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And not just that, but here's another thing that really doesn't make sense with John McClane in this. In every Die Hard film, if you notice that John McClane always has a fight scene with like the main villain or something. Mm-hmm. This, no. There's nothing. There's literally he gets in the shootouts, and then the only fight scene we get is the part where his son's fighting that one dude on that helicopter. And even that, but it's like you're letting your son take over the fucking movie, you know?
Yeah.
You had, like, literally, John McClane is fucking pointless in this entire movie.
It could have just been a spinoff without John McClane.
Exactly.
And called fucking Jack McClane.
Jack McClane, you know?
It really, John McClane is so goddamn pointless in this film, it shouldn't even have the title Die Hard in it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that the movie, you know, it also didn't help that. Also, here's another other thing. The number one thing that pissed me off the most when they took away from John McClane, there's actually a whole scene like you see at the beginning where he's going after his son and everything. He's getting inside like this big like truck or whatever going down the road, or like this vehicle, and he's basically smashing through bystanders that are in the way. And to me, John McClane would never do that shit because he's basically killing innocent people.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a lot of things you don't buy in this film. Yeah, 4 may have some things, but overall, that old computer terroristic shit can really fucking happen.
Yeah.
And can damage cripple a country like ours. Now, this one, I'm supposed to buy them just taking down Rush. No, this is getting Batman shit right now. This shit is just not uncalled for, man. And
yeah, this movie.
And not only that, what was the point of getting the daughter back in this film only for her to beginning?
And then
the end.
she bookends the entire film just to say, Dad, when you go over there, just try not to get yourself into bad situations.
And then they do this some weird music closure.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I know.
Man?
Oh, it's even worse because after this movie came out, they basically released an unrated version of the film, which hardly fucking notice any differences besides the beginning part where he's shooting like in the firing range. Mm-hmm. Other than that, they actually cut out all her scenes. All the scenes with Mary Liz Winstead are cut out from the unrated cut.
She was really pointless.
Well, she was, yeah, but I'm just saying, without her in like the actual theatrical version, that's the closest of humanity that we get with John McClane. Yeah. When she's cut out in the unrated cut, you seem like John McClane just like a fucking Terminator. Yeah. You know, so yeah, there's more. We dug enough.
We dug enough in this movie. I'm gonna give this a flat line.
This is a fucking dead to the nails, dead on the floor, fucking flat line on the film Phreeks. This killed the fucking Die Hard franchise.
It killed the Die Hard franchise. I give this a flat line on the Film Phreeks meter. And not to mention, I forgot the year it came out.
2013.
I actually think I put this my number one worst film of that year.
Yeah, it came close, but
probably in 1 or 2.
Yeah, my number 1 of that year, because if I'm going by theatrical films, yeah, it was my worst. But as far as number 1, I did have Inappropriate Comedy as my worst. Yeah. But I still agree, it was still on my list.
Yeah, I think I had it number 1. I think I might have had it number 1. I have to go back, but yeah. I don't recommend you using this other than wiping your ass with it.
Yeah. And so after this came out, the movie basically was a modest success at the box office, you know, because it had the name Die Hard and everything.
Oh, let's not only that, before we close this out, the potential of the 6th
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, yeah. So it's been talked about for years that they've wanted to finally do a last one, or at least another film to kind of like close the series out, where, like for Die Hard 6, they said that the idea they actually wanted to have in mind was to possibly go like to Japan or something like that.
It's the corporation.
Possibly the corporation where the Nakatomi was from and everything.
It's their corporation.
Yeah. And there were rumors that they said they wanted to possibly get, to like the person that was behind the Nakatomi and maybe bring back another Gruber or something like that.
I think it should be Han's son that's going to try to complete what his dad didn't complete.
Yeah. And then basically after since those were only rumors, it then came to there was actually a plot that they had in mind the last couple of years where they wanted to do something called Die Hard Year One, where it was going to be pretty much part prequel, part sequel to. Can
you imagine if they had it like this? The Nakatomi building, all that shit's going down and so. And then he goes over there, because you got John McClane getting ready to, he knows some shit's about to go down in this building. It's about to be like a reunion type thing.
Yeah.
And then happened to, in the beginning of the film, one of the security guards is Samuel Jackson. Yeah. Because he got out of America and living in Japan, he can have a Japanese wife.
Yeah.
And saying, I married my love of my life here and stuff. And then he goes, God damn, you got me in this motherfucking shit again.
Yeah.
I would love, because personally, their chemistry, I want to see again.
I do too. I mean, we're going to get it in Split coming out next year. I mean, with both of them together. But I would love to see them, come back one last time in a Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah.
But, and not just that, but basically, the Year One plot that they're having in mind was that they're going to have a younger John McClane through flashbacks or whatever, and then the rest, and then you have Bruce Willis playing the older John McClane in like the current segments.
Yeah,
So,
which
that could work, but only if they play it kind of like Godfather Part 2. Yeah. Because to me, that seems like it's kind of a cop-out because you're getting half prequel, half sequel.
Yeah.
And not just that.
Really, I don't know if John McClane is really somebody I'd care about seeing a
I really just want to see one last Die Hard, like as a true closure.
I mean, he's big, don't get me wrong, but I mean, what does he do? I mean, we're led to believe that the first shit that he went through in the Die Hard 1 was his first shit he went through that was serious other than being a regular fucking cop.
Yeah, it would be weird just seeing a backstory before that because if it was before that, that contradicts everything like the first movie did.
Yeah, anyways, yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. But I also hear possibly they are doing an actual true closing with Die Hard.
Yeah.
But that's the last I heard was that year 1 plot. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, right now, we can't really say much. It's pretty much up in the air.
Yeah. So, and if they do it, I would be down for it and everything, because it would definitely be fucking fix everything that 5 killed.
Yeah. And be honest with you, since we're in the world now where we get rid of sequels, get rid of 5.
Yeah. So, but overall, yeah, I still enjoy like the first 4 movies, but 5, yeah, is the worst. So with that, for those of you who have also seen all the other Die Hard films, including Good Day to Die Hard, let us know in the comments below what you thought about them and the rest of the series. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out some of our other reviews here on our channel and at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review.
All right, see ya.
We'll see you later.